The following is a Galactic Network podcast. For more, go to gncast.com. That's GNCASTS.com.
The Podcast of Terror is a great podcast. It's covering movies that are not for children, and thus this podcast is not for children. The hosts are two adults who will use bad words from time to time. They'll also spoil movies if that's not your thing. So if you don't like spoilers and you don't want to hear some dirty language or some dirty references to dirty parts of your body, then please, please, please wash your body parts better and do not listen to this show. If you can handle it, and I hope you can because there's a great podcast coming up, then please proceed with Podcast of Terror.
Corey, I couldn't help but notice that you're wearing a shirt.
I try to whenever possible. There were laws passed.
What are the odds that you wear a shirt every day of your life?
Almost 40%.
Attaboy. Well, let me tell you about a little sales bonanza we got going here. We got some friends. These friends got some codes. Go visit our friends at the Hate. That's the. If you can't spell the, go back to school. Hate, HVIII.com. Use the code HBG15, get 15% off your order. And if your tits still require more fabric, go to status.
I need to double up.
You got to double. You can never have too much tit fabric. Go to statuspheremerch.com, use the code TERROR, and get you some sweet discounts there.
Burn and fire, burn the fire. Burn and fire, burn the fire.
Welcome to episode 96 of the Podcast Terror, production of the Galactic Network. I'm your host, Matt Stein. With me, as always, is Corey Princess Scott.
I'm a pretty princess.
He is. Look at that hair. So much hair. For more on this podcast, including show notes, content information, subscription links, go to gncast.com/pot. You can chat with us on our Slack channel during our shows at gncast.com/sign up. And while you're there, you can subscribe to the newsletter as well. We don't have a guest this week.
Get our music crown me.
What?
Nothing.
You want me to?
No, we don't. We don't have a guest. But we have some coming up, right?
Yes. Yeah. It was so. We'll get into that in a second. But later on, we're going to be talking about the movie Southbound. We're going to do some news. Before we do that, hey Corey, what you drinking?
I found in the back of my fridge, I think my last of my 4-pack of Virgil's root beer that I was really excited to have, and then I've had it sitting out for the last hour because we ran behind.
Yeah, it's my fault.
And it's a little warm now, but it's still good. It's so good. It's not the same as the Bavarian nutmeg one, the giant one that they get at Christmas time, but it's still really good stuff.
I'm gonna have to find that. I haven't had a good root beer in a while. I have currently drinking Boulevard Brewing Telltale Tart. It's a sour, and then I have Urban Cellars. I'm going to butcher this because it's not English. Sauvé de Peach? I don't know.
Sauvé sounds right.
Yeah, and then it's a barrel-aged beer with peach.
Nice.
That's
It's one of those things. I kind of wish I drank alcohol at least a little bit because some of the things that your drink sound
they're pretty
really
interesting.
good to try.
Yeah. I had one earlier that was... So the reason we're late is my wife and I are refinishing our fireplace. So it was like floor tile, and we were doing air stone over the top. And then she had the bright idea to just go straight to the ceiling with the air stone. And we have like vaulted ceilings in our living room, so whatever, it is what it is. But I had to go to a friend's who has power tools because I don't, to cut down a piece of cement board to put on top to then skim coat with cement. And he asked me to help him move a door. And I'm like, that's literally the least I can do is carry a door for you because you cut this for me. And then it took me forever to get home because I live in the middle of nowhere now.
Yeah.
If you're watching the video, you'll randomly see like one car go by. And later another car go by.
It's just the murder van.
Just desolate murder van.
It's despondent because there's no children around
Yeah.
the neighborhood.
God damn it, that the kid's gone. So yeah, before we get into news, there's something I want to bring up. Corey, more so me, I guess, decided we're going to take a short break in a couple weeks. I want to make sure that we let everyone know that we're not done doing the podcast. By no means is that the case. We're gonna go do up to episode 100, and then as we steal everything from Jack and Dan, we're gonna steal their idea of doing 100 episodes and then switching to season format. I'm super busy the second half of August and the entire month of September. So it's just easier to take a short break, and then we'll be back for the Halloween season.
And you've had a lot of life changes over the last year, and just in general, doing anything on a schedule every week, over and over again, and plus special occasions like some of the Potshot stuff where you've done interviews, it's a lot. And then we've been doing Weird World Weekly with Dave and Brad on the network. It's a lot of stuff to throw into, and sometimes you just need to recharge.
Yeah,
I understand that.
Yeah, it's literally been 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bucket since May for me. So in talking, we kind of decided we're gonna take a short break and decide that's the way it's gonna happen. So before then, though, I'm working on getting a bunch of guests, past, present. I don't want to say future and people we haven't had on. I'm gonna make it as fun as possible. But then this also gives you an opportunity to catch up on those other podcasts that you've been ignoring to listen to solely listen to Corey and I.
Yeah, which we expect.
Yeah, fully expect. Because once in a while we have a 4-hour episode with Matt Vincent, and that probably takes more than one sitting to get through. But they're fun.
That could be your week.
Yeah. Well, I assume that you listen to our podcast 4 to 6 times each episode just to catch all the dick jokes. Someone has a room that has like the yarn drawings of like dick jokes and us all pointing back to movies. I want to meet that person.
All dicks point to Matt.
And
very tentatively, I don't want to overpromise. I don't want to make a statement that is going to very likely turn out not to be true. There may be some potshot stuff that happens during the break. I don't say that with 100% or even close to 50%, but I'd like to at least have something coming out for you guys once in a while for the feeds. Just to remind you that we still exist, that we will return. We're not interested in just disappearing into the ether.
Yeah, and it's I guess all I'm saying is there will not be a weekly episode for 7 weeks or so. It's not goodbye. It's just see you later.
And for me personally, I have so much fun doing this in a huge part because of Matt, but also because of all the people that we've met, and just the joy I have of getting to hang out with so many people that I admire and have grown to love over the last year and a half or so, that I couldn't walk away from this. And Matt can't because I have chains attached to his schnuts.
Yeah, I've tried to leave like 4 or 5 times, and Corey just tightens the cuckold.
Yep.
Or the cock cage. So there was a show on Showtime called Gigolos, and it was basically a reality show that followed around gigolos in Las Vegas, and that's how I learned about a cock cage. It stops you from getting a boner. That's terrible. That's terrible. There's a little hole for you to pee out of.
I went to Catholic school. The nun that was our principal pretty much stopped me from getting a boner for all of 5th grade.
Wow. I don't know what to say to that.
6th.
Wow.
I love that you have nothing to say to that.
Podcast of Corey's boner.
Yeah, it's a short show.
It's a short boner. Let's get into the news. This first story. Science proves horror makes you horny. That's why Corey likes it so much. He just loves to achieve erections.
I wouldn't say achieve so much as just lack of wish fulfillment. Yeah, I
really like the picture of Patrick Bateman in the news story.
We might actually have to put the link for this one because it's from Horror Freak News. One of the reasons why I included the story is because the model that they've used for this is Melissa LaRue, who's a friend of mine from my Creepy Coffee Movie Time / Circuits of Chaos shows that are local to San Francisco. So she is an ex-Marine and a model and an actress, and she's fantastic. And so when I saw her featured in this, I'm like, well, I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to the story now. And then on top of it, it gives Matt an excuse to tell us about how he gets his jollies watching what I assume would be Santa's sleigh.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 would chew her butthole. So
she's pretty amazing.
Feel free to tell her I said that.
I don't think that's what I'll say, because I will not lie. I'm also a little bit afraid of her,
Oh,
even though she's incredibly sweet. But just in general, yeah, she's really cool.
why don't you have her on the show? There you go. There's your mission.
I might.
There's your
I
mission.
really have thought about asking some of the people from Circus of Chaos / Creepy Coffee Movie Time to be on the show.
Worst case, they say no or just don't respond to you.
I know, man. It's one of those things. I'm shy. I'm the dainty princess.
Do you want me to?
No, I'll do it.
Okay, yeah, fucking A, you will, bitch. Sorry.
But so far, everybody that I've asked has initially said yes and then not shown up. So
Yeah, you got to keep hounding them.
yeah,
Some of
I'm
those
not a
people
hound.
just need to be hounded,
Speaking of
Matt
hounds,
Vincent.
So this article is based around blogger Melissa H. She recently explained the phenomenon in an essay published at Wicked Nerdery, sorry. And she explains that there's a scientific study from 1974 that said when psychologists Donald Dutton and Arthur Aaron, those sound like fake names, conducted the experiment in which they asked men to cross either an unsteady suspension bridge or a sturdy bridge, then fill out a survey and make up a story inspired by an ambiguous illustration called a TAT, thematic appreciation test, provided by a female interviewer. The interviewer then gave each man contact number should they have other questions. Those who crossed the fear-inducing bridge called the woman back 50% of the time and were more likely to sexualize their story of the illustration. The men who crossed the regular bridge only called back 12.5% of the time, and their stories were less likely to be sexual in nature. So it's the thrill of it kind of ups your...
But couldn't you just argue that it's thrill seekers get more boners?
Yeah, but that's what horror movies do.
So it's
horror
not
movies up the same thing.
My argument here is that it's not necessarily the act of thrill seeking that makes you horny. It's the type of person that's into thrill seeking that is just more horny. Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, maybe. And there's certainly a case to be made for people who are not into horror movies in general, and that may be because they don't get that same kind of rush from it or sexual thrill.
I don't think that upping my horror watching has given me 50% more boners.
But you started at such a high... You ruined
That's
the
the thing.
I can't judge against you.
I am a walking boner, so watching more horror cannot ultimately give me more boners because I've already achieved 100% boners. If I go any higher, I don't have enough blood to have that many boners.
But there is something to be said for the fact that horror movies often, in the midst of trying to scare you, also try to titillate at the same time. Yeah. And that there's kind of a... I'm not going to be able to say anything in this. There's a hand in hand of...
But I agree with what you're saying. Horror movies often encounter... they include a lot of nudity and sexual situations, and it's... Yeah, they go hand in hand.
The aspect of the final girl is someone that you're rooting for and someone that you
kind of want to bang.
Bang or feel a romantic inclination for.
You want to chew on her butt.
Yeah, that's romance.
You know what? There's a woman out there that loves when you toss her salad.
I want to light a candle and then stuff it near your anal glands. I don't know.
Sometimes you just got to tongue punch a fart box.
I mean, not all the time.
No, but if she wants you to tongue punch her fart box, and sometimes you just gotta lick tickle the farter.
Box.
I can't. What? Did you just ask me to lick your butthole?
When does Corey get rimmed? I don't think that it's...
Shave it and put some maple syrup on it.
That's
and we'll talk.
That's true. Then I'll track Canadians.
The low sugar though. I don't want to get diabetes.
No, diabetes.
You heard it here first, kids. Diabetes.
You just shove oatmeal out there afterwards because it's the right thing to do.
Heart healthy.
And tasty way to do it.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we'll link the article. This is just enjoy it for the visuals.
That really got out of control fast. I'm not at all sorry.
Melissa Ruluru, she's awesome. Our next story brought to us from Friday. John Carpenter inks overall deal with Universal Cable to develop 2 new series. So Universal is NBC Universal and also things like the Sci-Fi Channel. So I expect Sci-Fi is going to be getting at least one, maybe both of these series.
And 47 more Sharknadoes.
Yeah, because you can't run out of sharks. Once the sharks make it to the air, you can't get them down.
It's true.
And they have to belch. They drank, they stole Fizzy Liftus, and so they need to burp it out. So one of the shows in development has already been started. It's called Tales for a Halloween Night for Sci-Fi, based on Carpenter's award-winning graphic novel anthology of stories. The series brings together storytellers from the worlds of movies, novels, and comics for a collection of horror stories featuring graveyards, sunken ships, and all the things that go bump in the night. Search for a writer is underway. So it's weird that it would be that far in development and they don't have a writer. And I would imagine multiple writers if it's an anthology series.
Yeah.
And then they're also developing Nightside, based on the literary series by New York Times bestselling author Simon R. Green, with Scream TV series co-creator Jill Bolotevical?
Gravy.
Jill Bolagravy, attached to write the script in the series. Nightside is the secret heart of London where creatures of the night congregate. I feel like there's a lot of shows that are creatures of the night, like vampires, werewolves, fae, zombies, all kind of combining. Sci-Fi has a lot of those shows, and honestly, I caught some of the shows on Sci-Fi on Friday. Mm-hmm. Things that I haven't paid much attention to, like Dark Matter and the Killjoys and Winona Earp.
I have not heard of any of those, actually.
They're all pretty good. I mean, Winona Earp is based on a comic series that I was familiar with, and I'd watched some of the first season, and I watched the first 2 episodes, I think, of Killjoys when it started, and they were fine. Both the Sci-Fi ones seem like they're almost Firefly light, but I think as they've developed, they've gotten a little bit better. So the quality of shows on Sci-Fi are actually pretty good right now. And they can launch a genre program where a lot of other networks just can't seem to get those things to land unless they're HBO or Netflix. So it's cool to see this, but this is John fucking Carpenter. And I mean, I would prefer that he is both writing, directing, and doing the music for it, especially.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just his involvement means that I'm going to look at it with a more open heart than what I might have is just some random vampire show that's showing up on the CW.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned like Netflix, because it just seems that nothing good is really showing up on ABC, CBS, and Fox. And I shouldn't say that, because The Mist and Spike has actually been very good. But you generally have consistently better shows on Netflix and Amazon and Hulu, because I think they have less guidelines. I mean, they certainly get to take more chances, but I always go back to Hannibal. NBC took a lot of chances with Hannibal, and it was a far darker show than what I think I would have ever believed them capable of. But I think that was also before they switched presidents. The other thing about Netflix is Netflix really does just say, we trust you to make the show. Here's the money. Go make your program. Yeah.
And give us this many episodes or whatever. And that's very encouraging to someone who's a developer. But you sometimes that fucks you up. Sometimes it turns out that guy just took the money and made a piece of shit. So you really have to trust in the relationship between you and that producer. But this is someone that I would trust. You know, John Carpenter's movies don't usually make money in the theater, but they all become cult films later on, and people watch them over and over again for years. And that's kind of the Netflix method, is that where Adam Sandler wasn't getting the billables in the movie theaters anymore, Netflix is like, yeah, but people watch his movies repeatedly on our stuff, so let's have him
but
just
then he
make
makes
stuff for us.
shit.
Oh, he absolutely does.
Those movies were not good.
But that doesn't matter because his audience is his audience.
I mean, I would watch Billy Madison on repeat if I had the time and nothing better to do. But I would not ever watch... God, what was the Western one that he put on?
Oh, something Ridiculous 6, I think.
Yeah, you're actually absolutely right. Yeah, that was horseshit. It was just not funny at all, and it had literally all the makings to be at least moderately funny movie. It's not.
But I feel like he's always had the back and forth. He's had ones that are really funny. He's had ones that are kind of funny. He's had his romantic ones with Drew Barrymore over and over again, and
But
then
even-
he's just had his shit piles like Little Nicky and stuff that are just terrible.
See, I haven't seen Little Nicky in a very long time, so I can't rightfully defend that movie. 50 First Dates is not the worst.
No, I like the
Better than
romantic ones.
Spanglish. But
Spanglish is not really a comedy, as I recall.
I don't know. I saw it once.
But half of Sandler's movies aren't comedies, even though they're billed as such. Yeah, I don't want to pick on.
And that's we're not here to talk about Adam Sandler movies, but I don't even know where the hell we are anymore. Other than I'm so balls deep in Adam Sandler. That came out wrong.
Maybe John Carpenter could do an Adam Sandler movie.
I'd watch it.
I would.
I would
absolutely
blindly watch that. I don't think I'd pay to watch it, but I would watch it.
They can all cut open and live in Kevin James.
I watched Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 after Human Centipede 3 one time. It was a palate cleanser. I was actually I was watching with my best friend Jake, and we were like halfway into Human Centipede 3, and we're like, what the fuck are we doing with our lives? And we got done, and I'm like, hey man, you want to watch Paul Blart? And he goes, yeah. Totally palate
If you don't
cleanse.
already want to cut yourself because how did I wind up here? You follow up Human Centipede 3, not even 1 or 2, 3.
Well,
Ball Cop
him and I had already seen Human Centipede 1 and 2, and 3 had just kind of come out, and
just can't let that story go unfinished.
it's okay. So from
There's so many unanswered questions after 2.
have you seen any of them?
No, I have not watched them.
So the most interesting part about those movies is the fact that 2 takes place inside of 1. No, excuse me. 1 takes place inside of 2. 2 takes place inside of 3. So 1 is the story. 2, the guy who does the Human Centipede is obsessed with the guy who made the Human Centipede in the first movie. 3 is in a jail, and the warden's butt buddy gets the idea to rehabilitate inmates by making a Human Centipede based on his love of Human Centipede 2.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so like from that, it's like it's a mind fuck, but the movie is just so fucked up. Like there's a porn star in 3, and I think within 5 minutes, she's getting finger blasted by the warden, like while standing, and he's just essentially finger raping her. And then later, when the warden starts making a centipede and goes off the fucking deep end, there's a problem inmate, and he cuts his nuts out. Spoilers for Human Centipede 3, by the way. And heats them up and eats them. But my favorite part is when the chef brings the warden the balls. He takes the lid off of the warden and just goes, power food, and then eats the fucking testicles. And for a while, you could buy the latex balls on the Human Centipede 3 website.
And this is why I'm a prude.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of that sounded just incredible to me.
Yeah, well, it's such a fucking obscene movie that you have to watch it once.
Of those 3 scenes, I don't know how you were able to pick a favorite.
I don't know, man. I just kind of jerked off onto a sheet of paper with them all written down. Whatever one got the most jizz is the one I picked.
Because horror movies make you horny.
They do. It comes full circle. Do we have anything else to talk about the...
No, man.
Okay.
You got 2 John Carpenter TV series to look forward to, people. That's a good reason to rejoice. That'll
And
take you straight
masturbate
to
on a sheet of
October.
paper. The next the next news story we have, Wolf Creek TV show is getting a season 2. Now, you watched season 1, correct?
I watched half of season 1, and I kept planning on coming back to it.
Yeah, I never finished.
And I'm a little disappointed.
I never actually started, so I can't really.
The thing, Wolf Creek, the movie itself, and I've never seen the sequel, but the first movie is a hard movie to watch. It's one of those. It's not exactly torture porn, but it's very cat and mouse. Like when the cat gets the mouse, not Tom and Jerry chasing the mouse all over the place, and the cat runs into anvils and shit. No, it's when the cat's got the mouse, and you're just watching the cat just torture and break the thing's neck and pull off its tail while it's still alive and everything. It's that. That's what Wolf Creek is. And the TV series definitely opens with that. And then it becomes kind of weird because it's the girl who survives it trying to find this dude and get revenge on him. But her journey doesn't intersect with him for several episodes. So it's a little strange in that, and it's not that it's a bad narrative. I'm just not sure that it was what I was expecting out of the series. And it was only 6 episodes. So I really have no excuse for not getting back to it at this point. I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, but it doesn't look like her character returns for the 2nd season. So Mick Taylor does. I don't know what that says. Maybe she joined a cult, got out of there.
That happens.
But Mick Taylor sees an opportunity of a lifetime after a chance encounter with a coach full of tourists from around the globe. The unwitting travelers begin an outback adventure none of them could have imagined. The amount of people that just die in these things, like I want to go to Australia because that's where Olivia Newton-John is from, and I mean it's a little late for me now, but at one point it was a mission to go get me one of those, and
you wanted to get an Olivia Newton-John. There's more than one.
It's close to a reasonable facsimile as I could. I didn't think I could get her. She's married. When I was young, she was married to the guy that she met, not the guy that was in Xanadu with her, but Matt Latanzi. She met during that, and then they had a kid together and stuff, and it's all fine. But
terrible decision.
Now I'm older, but I am married and I think she's single. Yeah, just two boats keep missing each other in the night. You know, that's just how it is. What was I saying?
I don't fucking know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what's happening right now.
The Wolf Creek series is coming back for a 2nd season.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the Wolf Creek stuff?
No. There's too much TV to watch. I'm still trying to finish season 1 of Preacher and catch up on season 2.
Yeah, I haven't started season 2 yet, and
I'm still 8 episodes short of the latest season of American Horror Story. I need to fucking
the first episode of American Gods.
Oh, I did finish the first season of that. I don't know how I finished it, but I did.
I'm way behind on too much stuff, and that's the thing is, oh man, if this stuff was just all on Netflix, it would probably be a little bit easier. I feel better binging stuff on Netflix than I do off of my own DVR. I don't know why that is. It's something psychological.
Often I have to like remember that I have Netflix,
and also it's the fact that I feel like there are things that I want to watch with my wife, but getting her there and paying attention and in the right mood for it at the same time.
Fucking hard.
Yep. It's like, goddamn, it's streaming media foreplay is what it is. It's like, okay, baby, are you ready? Can I insert? No, you can't insert the goddamn video.
Make sure you tickle the clitoris first.
It's just shit. Like, I really thought that when I thumbed the remote just right that you were into it, and now you're not into it. Fucking gonna go masturbate to Hulu in the bathroom.
What the fuck? How did I? I'm over here reading Growly's comments about you and Olivia Newton-John. All of a sudden, you're jerking off to Hulu in a bathroom. I don't even know what's happening.
I don't know what's happening either. There's nothing good on Hulu. I don't even remember what station this was on. It's got to be like one of the weird independent sub channels that probably isn't even on HD on Comcast, but it definitely played on TV, and it's vile. It is, again, one of those things that you're not going to see on your Fox or your ABC.
No, it was on Stan.
Well, I think it's on that in other countries.
In Australia, yeah. I'm trying to figure out what it is in the good old US of A.
It's probably like, Robert Rodriguez's channel or whatever.
He has one?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he had his From Dusk Till Dawn TV series playing for a couple of seasons on it. With Wilmer Valderrama, because someone keeps giving that guy work.
Stick to Fez.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. Yeah, there's a service called Can I Stream It? I think it's canistream.it.
Yeah. I've definitely checked that before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I use it every time we pick a movie. The show aired in the United States from October 14th to November 18th on the Pop Network.
Oh, that's right.
What the fuck is Pop? It's owned by CBS
one of those weird
and Lionsgate.
sub-channels. Yeah.
Apparently it was started in 1981. I
think
grow
that's
tired.
the same station that does the late night Big Brother broadcast now, since they moved it off of Showtime.
Yeah, so season 2 of Wolf Creek is coming, and if you can find the Pop channel, you can watch it. That's all there is to it. I am curious about this last story. I have not read it because I'm a terrible human being with no free time. Five Nights at Freddy, the creator has canned the 6th game, and he's taking a break. Now,
sounds familiar.
We didn't make 6 games and a fucking boatload of money.
No, we made no money.
We made 9. Well, when we take our break, we will have made 100 episodes and made 0 monies. I wish I could make 100 monies and 0 episodes.
Because
Simpsons
as we'll talk in a little bit, people like our friend Growly Bear support the network, and that's what's really important: is supporting the network and supporting our sponsors, because that helps us in general. Just because these are people that we like.
Yeah. Going back to the story though, real quick, and then we'll do all that. But we have talked about Five Nights at Freddy's a number of times here. I actually love watching the playthroughs because there's some sort of intense, deep story in these games. But I hate jump scares, so I never play them. But there was Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through 4, and then 5 was Sister Location. And I know that Crowley made a comment about furries. There's furry conventions you can attend. The reason for the cancellation of the 6th game is due to mounting expectations of what FNAF 6 would be. And to be perfectly honest, like, I'm actually going to look these dates up because it's pure insanity how quickly he put these things out.
Yeah, and the other part of this is that I don't even think 6 had been announced.
5 hadn't really been announced.
He's canceling something. Yeah, it's more.
I think it was just expected.
6 right now.
I think it was just expected. But I know that there was
7 years that there were Saw movies coming out, and then they were like, "Hey, by the way, just so you guys know, Saw 7 is the last one."
Yeah.
Until it's not. Same sort of thing.
There was FNAF World, which was not a horror game, came out and like never really got out of beta. They were talking about a movie. There was at Circus in Vegas, they had a Five Nights at Freddy's like haunted house thing, and like this fucking thing blew up. And like I remember hearing about the first game, and I was like, that's kind of a.
Why hasn't that happened? Where like you go to Universal's and they have something that's done up like one of the old Showbiz pizzas or Chuck E. Cheese's, except it's Five Nights at Freddy's for the haunted Halloween. That seems like something that should have happened by now.
Yeah.
But then how do you really play that out? To I guess when you go to the bathroom, like one of the stalls opens up and a bear just jumps out at you, and hopefully it's actually part of the show and not.
Well, they have. It's just some guy dressed up as a bear scaring the shit out of you. And at Halloween Horror Nights, they have like the jump scare areas, and it's all foggy and shit, and stuff pops out at you. So just do that.
Yeah.
It's not that hard
No,
to do, kids.
it's funny because like it sounds like a real shitty problem to have is being so successful, but at the same time, we've seen it with people like Dave Chappelle, where you just get to the point of I'm doing so well, there's no way I can maintain this, and I just need a break.
In case anyone's wondering, we don't have that problem.
We do not. There's plenty that I can't maintain, but it's not because I've been successful up until that point. No, but I get it. I totally get it, and sometimes you have to come at something with time to let yourself be re-inspired. Maybe you want to scratch an itch of something else, make a different kind of game. Is he going to?
But the problem is if he makes a different
name, maybe
if he makes a different game, everyone's gonna wonder. They're gonna complain because it's not Five Nights at Freddy's.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is do it under a different name, kind of like when the woman who wrote Harry Potter did another book and she did it under a pen name instead.
Yep.
So that people wouldn't just automatically compare it to Harry Potter. And then she's like, wow, that didn't succeed at all. I'm going to go back to writing Harry Potter shit and do these movies and stuff that are all based on like an American version 50 years before, which is great. And more power to her because it was a good movie.
Yeah. So going back a little bit, Scott Cawthon put out Five Nights at Freddy's 1 on August 19th, 2014. 2 came out November 10th of 14. 3 came out March 2nd of 15. 4 came out July 23rd of 15. And 5 came out October 7th of 2016. So basically 2.5 years, he put out 5 video games. 5 very successful full video games.
Not 5 hugely different from each other video games.
No. But that's the thing. When I saw the 3 come out like nuts to butts, I was like, well, you're just fucking changing. You're just changing what's jumping out at you where you are. And then I watched all the playthrough videos, and I'm like, there's actually a lot to these games.
Yeah.
And that's insane. I know Scott's listening to this, so if you want to come on our podcast, man, just shoot us an email.
You should.
Yeah.
We've reviewed your game before. We were very nice to it.
I enjoyed it. It scares the shit out of me.
Like it mattered to you or your success. We're the reason why the game started doing so well.
Yeah. We need 10%, son.
But if part of clearing your head is you want to come and hang out with a couple of dicks on a
fat hipsters
podcast, that's us.
Hashtag fat hipsters.
Hashtag never showed up.
Hashtag half naked pictures all over the internet.
Yeah.
Hashtag gross to look at.
No, that's not nice.
Maybe it's a greasy hot dog. You don't know what I'm talking about.
You're like, I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah. So yeah. 5 night half 6. Taking a break. You don't have to blow that up. I have iTunes open.
Oh, thank God, because I could not read.
I just put that picture in there to remember because iTunes doesn't let you copy and paste. Full circle. So real quick, we got a terrific 5-star review from Nikki on it's Queens of the Damned, correct?
Queens of the Damned podcast.
Yes,
which is a great podcast, and
it's amazing.
And I did not expect her to give us a 5-star review. Certainly we had a review exchange going on, but
did you?
I'm a big fan of their show.
So you slipped her a 20 and got a review?
Yeah, no, she was looking for people to review her podcast, and she said that she would be happy to review podcasts in return. But there was no expectation of what scores to give on either side of it.
Fair enough. Nikki, if you're listening, we want you to come on. Bring the rest of your crew. I too have listened to it, and I do enjoy it. I should go review it. I need to review things more.
I had to install iTunes to do it, and that's the saddest thing.
You sold your soul to the devil. I know how much you hate iTunes.
It's such a despicable piece of shit software, and yet it's
it's
the
bad.
only thing that really
It's
you can go and
bad.
review podcasts at that makes a difference.
Yep.
Even though listening to podcasts through the iTunes app or through iTunes, especially the software on a PC or on a Mac, is such bullshit. It sucks. I'm waiting for somebody to take this market away from Apple. They're terrible at it. They don't give a fuck about podcasts.
It's never gonna happen.
They don't like them because they can't monetize them. There's no 30% take from podcasts like there is selling music through their store or selling videos and apps and shit. Fuck you, Apple.
So the review says, the podcast draws us in with a basic subject and then immerses us in so many great topics along the way before the main event. I love the humor mixed with thoughtful conversation and the sheer variety of the whole thing. So many diverse guests with different talents are brought on and asked to not only about the particular expertise within the genre, but also about whatever other topics are being discussed in the episode. Love it. Thank you, Nikki. That was really nice of you.
That was incredibly nice. And thank you for mentioning our guests, because I think that, as you said, they bring a lot to the show.
This show wouldn't be shit without a lot of the guests. You know what I mean?
It certainly started to improve in both listenership and I think in our outlooks on it when we started getting people on, going back to Travis and Matt Vincent, and then going up from there. But it's also, a lot of it is the community, the people that we've met and how supportive they are, even outside of being on the show, just in general. Like Tori today, trying to bring us some guests coming up. It's just incredibly nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fuck yeah. It's amazing. Like we've always mentioned Growly, who's literally in the chat every time we record, even though I'm horrendous. I've been really shitty lately at about recording at a certain time because I've been so fucking busy. This episode is even super duper late, and he's still here. He's still hanging out. And Ashley, we got her over from Ink Geeks, and yeah, we literally we're basically whale poachers. We just take from other people.
But I like to think that we give back too. You know, I spend a lot of time when I'm able to over at the Ink Geek.
Oh,
chat.
I thought you were going to talk about our dick joke. Like,
well, that too.
We take your listeners and give you dick jokes.
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
Dick joke.
And disappointing.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, as mentioned earlier, if you want to be super duper cool like Growly and support the Galactic Network, you can head over to Corey. Do you have
GNcast.com/support?
There it is.
You can become a partner of the Galactic Network, and we really appreciate it. And again, there's different levels of support through our Patreon, through the Amazon links that we put in the show notes every week. Doing a review is really awesome. Emails are incredible. We love being able to read those on the air and
email
bring
is
comments out to everybody.
Email is a great way to stay in touch with one another.
Yeah, or you can be like Riley also and join us in the chat during the shows.
Mm-hmm.
But it helps to know when we're recording.
And say things like "poach my whale, baby." He just said that. I'm pretty sure he's referencing his penis.
He definitely needs to be on the show.
Yeah,
not just in the chat.
Yeah. Well, he needs to not be like 14 hours ahead of us. I'd do it for him. Growly, you want to come on sometime? Now we'll wait 45-second delay for him to respond. All right. Well, while we're waiting for that response, he may just leave. He's like, fuck it. I don't want to hang out with these guys. Just leaves forever. Let's start talking about... What?
All right. Just reminded me of someone.
Oh, God. We're bringing up daddy issues. Let's talk about Southbound.
We should. So this was kind of I'd seen a preview or something for this, I think, several months back, and it went onto our list of potential movies down the road. And we were in a point of we didn't know what to watch next. And this was just the one thing that dumped onto it, kind of like gravy last week. So I really didn't know a lot about this going in and what it was going to be.
It was a fucking intense movie. I maybe
knew that it was an anthology, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm. I didn't hate it. Like that wasn't I hated it. I really need to watch it a couple more times. because I knew it was an anthology, and it really just it got going right away.
It did. But one of the things that it did that I thought was kind of interesting, I've heard this term before. I don't know. I'm not completely familiar with the term as related to what this is. An exquisite corpse, which is, I think, a writing exercise where you write part of a story and then you hand it off to someone else and they write continuing the story and it goes along and goes along. Not Exquisite Corpse, the Hedwig and the Iron Ranch song, or Exquisite Corpse, the Poppy Z. Bright novel. When I was a kid, there was one of those things where you'd write a line of a story, and then you'd cover up that part, and then the next person would write their line and write their line and write their line and just pass it around the room in school. What I'm saying about this is that this is an anthology in the sense that there are different writers and directors, I think, for each part. But each story runs directly into the next portion. Sometimes
I thought that was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned that, I just want to point out that it is really fucking cool the way that they did that.
Yeah, I thought that was something that I did not know going into it. And the opening scene, which you kind of assume is the bookends of it, doesn't do that exactly, but it does lead back to it later on. So the first like real story that's not already in the middle of it involves these three girls that are in a band, and they're driving across the middle of nowhere in a van, and their van breaks down and they get picked up by this weird couple who seem very kind of like 1950s Christian, and they rescue them effectively and they take them to their home, and then other people come over and they're all kind of weird, and then it just gets to be like, oh look, there's a cult. And some of the girls get acclimated to it very quickly. I liked it because it had Dana Gould in it, and Dana Gould is a writer on Stan vs. Evil, is the creator of Stan vs. Evil, that show that you enjoyed last year.
Yeah, I liked it.
Which is coming back soon. And he also, I know for a while at least, he wrote on The Simpsons. But probably in the We Podcast Simpsons, like the post-classic episodes.
Yeah. He wrote 2001 to 2007, like 6 episodes.
Yeah. I just remember that was one of the things he went on to. I remembered him from the NBC sitcom Working with Fred Savage. But yeah, so that story happens, and then the lead girl from that story goes and is trying to escape, gets hit by a guy talking on a cell phone in a car driving down the highway, and then it becomes his story of trying to rescue her and talking to people on the phone of like how to bring help to her. They don't know where they're at, so he drives up to the next town that he sees and takes her in a hospital, and the people on the phone are trying to talk him through that. But so her character's in this, but it's not really about her character. So the way it was written, it could have been about anybody, but it's just basically like the first story ends, okay, and we're going to leave you with this character in this place and do with it what you want. And they're like, great. So we're going to hit her with a car and have her be all broken and basically dying throughout the whole thing, and have it be about this other guy. And then it leads from that guy's story into one of the people that was on the phone giving him instructions, her story, a little bit, but then it becomes about someone else entirely in this bar, and a guy coming in to try to basically rescue his sister. So it's really neat how they process this along the way. And that's something that I don't think I've seen in one of these anthologies before. Usually anthologies are stories that are bookended by one thing, like Tales from the Dark Side's movie, or the what was it, Trick or Treat movie that we watched a while back. And those things are great too, but this was such a different take on it that it stood out to me as being something more. And all the scenes, while they weren't necessarily like mind-blowing stories, it wasn't like I was super surprised by any of them. they were good. They were solid. And once you figure out what the theme is really of what the movie is about, it all makes more sense in the end.
Now, I may have missed this, so forgive me.
I was wondering.
But did they ever explain the black creatures that are at the beginning that I believe come back at the end?
They do come back at the end. They don't name them, but if you follow what the pattern is of the stories, so the story of the girl that's in the band with the other girls, they had a friend who died, who was killed, and she feels responsible for it. She didn't do enough to keep her to stay, and so she took off, I think drunk or something like that, and died in a car accident maybe. So she has this bad karma, this responsibility for it. The guy who hits her with his car goes through and, like, at first wonders whether or not he should actually do anything, but does try to save her and goes through and does all this stuff to do it. But then in the end, they convince him to just walk away. Like, no one's going to know. So just
leave.
They set him up with a clean shirt and clean clothes and a fixed car, and they let him go. Probably because he tried to do everything right through the whole thing. The next one is the guy trying to come in and rescue his sister from the people in the bar, all the creatures that are there, and going through trying to take her. And she's like, you shouldn't have come to get me. You know, our parents died. It was my fault. So everything going along the way, we realize this is these people's versions of hell. And that's what the title Southbound means, is that they're all essentially taking their trip into hell.
I didn't think about that.
And so those creatures that you see at the beginning, at the end, are basically
the Grim
demonic
Reaper?
Angels.
Oh, that too. Okay.
Yeah. and those guys who at the beginning, they were doing it to get revenge for the father of the girl in the last part, I think killed this girl accidentally, probably a car accident or something like that. And they go to get revenge on him, but doing it, they kill his wife. And then when they go to let his daughter go, she comes back to still defend her family, and they kill her too. So that's why they all wind up going to hell at the end, which is for them, the creatures coming after them and them winding up in that weird restaurant.
See, I was under the thing that stuck out the most to me was the two guys at the beginning. One of the guys says the other one, like, this is for me, not you. Something to that effect. And then later on, someone says something very similar. When the guy goes to get his sister out and they take off driving into the desert, she goes, just so you know, this is for you, not me. And I kept thinking, I'm like, these two things, they have to have something to do with each other. But they both had very different fates. You know, the guy driving in the car ended up getting eaten by the cannibals. The guys at the beginning ended up getting their face destroyed by Satan angels.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's kind of where I started to get confused, because I'm like, I was trying to put the pieces together and it didn't. But I guess there's so much.
Yeah, the guy driving the car, basically, I don't think he was meant to be in hell, but he crossed over to hell to get his sister, which is it's kind of a classic Greek mythology thing. But
what she said,
she's like, I belong here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not supposed to leave. Mm-hmm. This is where I'm meant to be. And she explains it. She's like, it's my fault that our parents are dead. I did that. And so you shouldn't have come to rescue me.
Yep. And
he was trying to rescue her from hell. And because of that, he becomes damned just like she is, because you just don't do that. I'm a little bit more confused by the other two girls in the band who kind of just accept things and become part of the cult that are all devil worshippers, essentially. But it again makes sense that if you're religious in hell, what are you going to worship?
That's true.
Satan. Here's your Baphomet.
Old Smoky Legs himself.
Yeah. Overall, the performances and the effects, the angel effects, or dark angel effects, were really cool.
Yeah, they're pretty tits looking.
They were a good design, and I think my favorite story, while it was gruesome, was the guy who hit the girl with his car and the whole thing of the people talking to him on the phone.
Yep.
Because that was just so messed up, and like you can tell he's being led along. Each time someone new gets on the phone and like, oh yeah, I was just listening in and I'm here to help, and they're talking through it, and they lead him through this whole thing of trying to save this girl's life, and they give him every last instruction, and then it's right down the last one. Now go ahead and squeeze the lung, and he squeezes the lung, and it just instantly kills her, and they all start laughing. That was just, oh my god, that was great. It was just so well done, because you felt like, yeah, something's really messed up here. He's in a hospital. There's nobody else there, but they all kind of have an idea as to what's going on, too much of an idea of what's going on. And then that moment of like, I've done everything I can. I'm pushing myself to every limit to save this girl's life, and no one is really helping me other than these voices. And then they just mock him.
Well, and the other thing, they say his name, and he's like, "How do you know my name?" And they're like, "Well, we have caller ID."
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's not how it works. But so then it makes sense that when he drives away and you see the chick standing, that it was people nearby the whole time.
Yeah. Which again, not really hugely explained, but so well done. And it's the fact that they test him. That it's almost like they let him go because he passed the test. He did the right thing. He hit somebody with his car, and for that moment he hesitated as to whether or not he should help. But then he went through everything to do it. And in the end, it's like, yeah, you did everything right. Just go. But he still has to kind of live with that guilt in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. This was a really good movie.
It's a bit of a mind fuck on these things. And overall, I was pretty impressed with it. I wish it had gotten better scores. IMDb gives it a 5.9.
IMDb is a bag of dicks.
Sometimes.
No, most of the time.
Yeah. But I think that everybody in this, like, I didn't recognize a lot of the actors or actresses. I recognized Hannah Marks because she was in the Dirk Gently series recently, and Dana Gould. But for the most part, it was really good performances from people that I didn't see from a lot of other things. And I don't think I knew anything about the writers or directors of this. But overall, I like this movie quite a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's great. Is there anything else, or do you want to jerk off?
Yeah, let's take it out.
Let's whip it out, Corey. Oh boy! All right, if you're not familiar with this part of the show, this is where we talk about masturbating. We go to the FAP scale. FAP scale is a 3-tiered masturbatorial guide of jerkiness. I don't know. I need to come up with some explanation to this thing. We talk about the feature, the attention, and the panic of the movie on a 0 to 5 scale. Corey, we do not have a guest, so you get to go first. We're going to start with the feature. That is the story. How was the story for you? How was the acting?
The story was really good. Now, again, I'm going to say not everything was incredibly original. Some of the things were a little slightly derivative of other things that you've seen, but I think that they come together for really great effect. And the one particular story with a hospital scene stood out to me as being really well done. I'm going to give it a 4.
I too am going to give it a 4, mostly because yes, everything has kind of been done before, but the way that they pieced it together, the overall concept, which I'm too dumb to understand. Thankfully, Corey helped me understand it. It was cool. It was well done, and I really enjoyed it. Next up, we have the attention. This is going to be the rewatchability. Would you purchase it? Would you recommend it to friends?
I would definitely recommend this. One of those things where my wife Erin watched it with me, and again, no expectations going in, and probably about 20 minutes in, she's like, "This is really good." I said, "Yeah, this is really good." So it's unfortunate that it's not on Netflix currently. It was for a while there, but I'm sure you can get it from like Amazon and stuff. I'm going to give it a 4 again. I think that it's one of those things that I'll keep around, and I'll probably walk in on her rewatching it a bunch.
Yeah, I did a 3, but basically for the same reasons. I just I do intend on rewatching this. excuse me, may wait. I don't know. I may watch it in Halloween. I may watch it during our break. Who knows? But this is certainly something that I do want to watch for a number of reasons. The last stuff we have is The Panic. This includes the effects. Were you surprised? Did you
Like
shit
I
yourself?
said, the I don't know how surprised I was, but I was very impressed with some of the effects when they needed to be there. Those angels in particular stood out to me. Overall, it looks realistic towards what it's supposed to be. The cannibal thing, for the people in the bar, that was just normal. I don't think that there was anything that stood out about that. The stuff in the hospital was what it was supposed to look like. So overall, I'm going to give it a 3.
Yeah, I did 3.5. The angels, whatever you want, demons, whatever, they looked really fucking cool. The hospital scene, it was like gory and gruesome enough that I kind of had to look away once in a while because I'm a bitch.
I'm with you. When her leg just was like dangling.
Yeah, I can't handle that, especially the incision and then the guy doing this. It was fucking intense.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3.5. Terrific. Well, you can contact us by leaving us a voicemail at 805-328-3966. You can email the show at pot@gncast.com. You can leave us a message on the website as well. We want to know what you like and what you don't like, especially when we're taking this break. When we come back, we may be doing things a little differently. This is your opportunity to help us shape the show to be the best that it can be so that you guys like it as much as you possibly can.
Sculpt us like David, except with a lot more clay around the midsection.
Yep, and then paint me like you paint those French women. You can follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Podcast of Terror, and you can subscribe to this podcast via iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or any of your favorite podcatchers. Leave us feedback there as well. If you do, I'll read it, just like we did for Nikki earlier. All podcast subscription options and links can be found at gncast.com/subscribe. And if you want to follow the entire network on Facebook, it's under the Galactic Network. Corey, where can people find you or whatever the hell you decide you're going to plug this week?
Ooh, you know what? I'm still doing comics with Levi Krause. Go to donascomics.com and look up the stuff that I help publish there. And my wife is going to be launching some stuff with her site soon. So in the meanwhile, you can go to arthag.com and look at some of her very tastefully done, scrumptious, lowbrow artwork with
Butt
a
shots.
lot of dripping vaginas. Yep. And weeping penises.
So gross.
I love that the vagina made you shudder.
Dripping penises. All right, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Untapped Matt the Lifeguard. That's going to do it for another episode of the Podcast of Terror. We will talk to you guys next week.
Hey, you guys listen to Podcast of Terror. If you like really great podcasts by two great dudes who are possibly homosexual gay for each other, you should listen to my buddies, Dan and Jack. They have a podcast called Worst Episode Ever. It's so fucking hilarious. It's about The Simpsons. Corey, what do you think of that one?
I thought you were going to go that whole time without cursing, but you did right there at the last second.
Corey doesn't like when I curse, but fuck shit
it's
balls.
It's not
ass.
me. I don't really mind the cursing. I'm just worried about the little children listening in the back seats of their cars.
Corey just worries about little children all day long. That's all he does. But anyway, you should listen to Jack and Dad's podcast. Go to wepodcast.com.
Next week on the Podcast of Terror.
So, I don't know what we're doing next week. We might have a guest. We haven't.
We really wanted to plan it out. We pulled out the sex dice. It turned out that didn't help us pick an episode to do.
Yeah, so I don't know what we're doing next week. We might have a guest. We might not have a guest. If we don't have a guest, we'll still be here. I don't know what we're doing.
We'll surprise you. We'll put it in the title, and then it's up to you if you want to listen to it right away or if you want to go watch the movie. You'll have the option.
I guarantee you we will talk about penises, though, so you got that going for you.
As much as possible.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Podcast of Terror. We will talk to you guys next week.
Stay penis, everybody.
This has been a Galactic Network podcast. For more, go to gncast.com. That's gncast.com.